Welcome to this in-depth lecture on one of the most fascinating phenomena in nanoscale fluid mechanics, Knudsen pumping and thermal creep. Today we will explore how gas molecules can flow from cold to hot regions through nanochannels, completely defying our classical intuition. Let me start with a surprising fact that challenges everything you might think you know about heat and gas flow. In our everyday experience, heat flows from hot to cold. Air rises above hot surfaces. Cold air sinks. This is what classical thermodynamics teaches us. But in nanochannels, something remarkable happens. Gas molecules actually flow from the cold side to the hot side. This seems to violate our intuition completely. Even more remarkably, this phenomenon can be harnessed to create a pump with absolutely no moving parts, just a temperature gradient and a nanochannel. Here we see a nanochannel connecting a cold reservoir on the left to a hot reservoir on the right. The arrows show gas molecules flowing from cold to hot. This is Knudsen pumping in action. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you a fundamental question. Why does this happen? Why would gas molecules move toward higher temperatures when everything we know suggests they should move away? The answer lies in understanding what happens at the molecular scale, where our everyday intuition breaks down and kinetic theory takes over. This phenomenon was first observed and explained by Martin Knudsen in the early 20th century. Knudsen was studying gas flows at very low pressures. Martin Knudsen was a Danish physicist who made fundamental contributions to our understanding of rarefied gas dynamics. He was particularly interested in what happens when the mean free path of gas molecules becomes comparable to the dimensions of the container. To understand when Knudsen effects become important, we need to introduce a dimensionless parameter called the Knudsen number. The Knudsen number equals lambda divided by L, where lambda is the mean free path, and L is the characteristic length scale. Lambda represents the average distance a molecule travels between collisions with other molecules. L is the characteristic dimension of the channel, typically the channel height or diameter. The mean free path depends on temperature T, pressure P, and molecular diameter d. It equals K sub bt divided by the square root of 2 times pi times d squared times p. Based on the Knudsen number, we can identify three distinct flow regimes that exhibit very different behaviors. When Knudsen number is less than 0.01, we have the continuum regime. Here, classical fluid mechanics applies perfectly. When Knudsen number is between 0.01 and 0.1, we enter the slip regime where wall effects become important. When Knudsen number is between 0.1 and 10, we are in the transition regime where both molecular and continuum effects matter. When Knudsen number exceeds 10, we reach the free molecular regime. Here, molecule-wall collisions dominate over molecule-molecule collisions. Here is a visual representation of the four flow regimes. Knudsen pumping is most effective in the transition and free molecular regimes. To truly understand Knudsen pumping, we must start with the kinetic theory of gases. This theory describes gas behavior at the molecular level. Kinetic theory tells us that gases consist of vast numbers of molecules in constant random motion. The root mean square velocity equals the square root of 3k sub bt divided by m, where T is temperature and m is molecular mass. This equation tells us something crucial. At higher temperatures, molecules move faster on average. This velocity difference between hot and cold regions is the key to understanding thermal creep and Knudsen pumping. On the left, we have cold gas with slow-moving molecules shown by short arrows. On the right, we have hot gas with fast-moving molecules shown by longer arrows. The velocity difference is dramatic. The velocity distribution of gas molecules follows the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. This is fundamental to understanding molecular behavior. The Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution gives the probability of finding molecules at different velocities. It depends on temperature, mass, and velocity. As temperature increases, the entire distribution shifts toward higher velocities and becomes broader. This means that molecules hitting the wall at the hot end carry more momentum than those at the cold end. Now let's examine what happens when molecules interact with the channel walls. This is where the magic of thermal creep begins. In most practical situations, molecules undergo diffuse reflection at the walls. They hit the wall and bounce off in random directions. Crucially, during this collision, molecules tend to accommodate to the local wall temperature. They leave with velocities characteristic of that wall temperature. Here we see molecules approaching the wall from the left in green. After diffuse reflection, they leave in random directions shown in red, with velocities determined by the wall temperature. Here's where we get to the heart of thermal creep. Consider a molecule approaching a wall at an angle. Let me pose a question. What happens to the tangential component of momentum when a molecule hits the wall and accommodates to the wall temperature? The answer is subtle but profound. When there's a temperature gradient along the wall, there's a net tangential momentum transfer from the gas to the wall. A molecule arrives with tangential velocity shown in green. After accommodation, it leaves with different tangential velocities shown in red. The difference represents momentum transfer. Now imagine this wall has a temperature gradient, cold on one end and hot on the other. Molecules reflected from the hot region leave with higher tangential velocities than those reflected from the cold region. This asymmetry creates a net gas flow toward the hot end. This is thermal creep. We can quantify this effect with the thermal creep velocity equation. The thermal creep velocity equals 3/4 times mu over rho T times dt by dx, where mu is viscosity, rho is density, T is temperature, and dt by dx is the temperature gradient. Notice that the thermal creep velocity is directly proportional to the temperature gradient along the wall. This velocity is not uniform across the channel. It acts primarily near the walls, within a few mean free paths of the surface. Now let's put together the complete picture of Knudsen pumping. We have a nanochannel connecting two reservoirs at different temperatures. Thermal creep drives gas flow from cold to hot along the channel walls. But there must be a return flow somewhere. This occurs in the center of the channel, where thermal creep effects are minimal. Green arrows near the walls show thermal creep flow from cold to hot. Purple arrows in the center show return flow from hot to cold. This circulation pattern is Knudsen pumping. When the channel geometry is asymmetric, or when multiple channels are connected in series, we get a net pumping effect. This can establish a pressure difference between the reservoirs using nothing but a temperature gradient. No moving parts whatsoever. Let's develop a more rigorous mathematical description of Knudsen pumping. The pressure gradient is related to the thermal creep velocity and hydraulic diameter. dP by dx equals negative rho times U sub Tc squared divided by d sub h. This equation shows that pressure increases toward the hot side when thermal creep is active. The pressure difference is proportional to the square of the relative temperature difference. Delta P is proportional to delta T over T quantity squared. The efficiency of Knudsen pumping depends strongly on the Knudsen number. Maximum efficiency occurs in the transition regime. Now let me ask a critical question that might be bothering you. Does Knudsen pumping violate the second law of thermodynamics? After all, we are creating a pressure gradient and apparently getting work for free from a temperature gradient. The answer is no, Knudsen pumping does not violate any thermodynamic laws. Work must be continuously done to maintain the temperature gradient. Heat flows from hot to cold, and this must be replenished. In the thermodynamic limit, the process is reversible. The entropy of the universe increases when we account for the heat flow. Now let's discuss practical applications of this fascinating phenomenon. Where can we use Knudsen pumps? One major application is in microelectromechanical systems, or MEMS cooling. Tiny chips can use Knudsen pumps for thermal management. Knudsen pumps can generate modest vacuums without any mechanical pumps. This is valuable in portable devices. Because thermal creep depends on molecular mass, Knudsen pumps can be used for gas separation and even isotope enrichment. In microsatellites and nanosatellites, Knudsen pumps could provide propulsion without moving parts or conventional propellants. Here are 4 major application areas for Knudsen pumps: MEMS cooling, vacuum generation, gas separation, and micropropulsion systems. If we want to design an effective Knudsen pump, what factors should we consider? First, the channel dimensions must be chosen so that the Knudsen number is in the transition regime, typically 10 to 100 nanometers. The temperature gradient along the channel should be maximized for maximum pumping effect. Surface properties matter greatly. The thermal accommodation coefficient determines how well molecules equilibrate with the wall. The accommodation coefficient alpha equals E sub I minus E sub R divided by E sub I minus E sub W, where E sub I is incident energy, E sub R is reflected energy, and E sub W is wall energy. An accommodation coefficient near unity gives the strongest thermal creep effect. Let's discuss some experimental observations that have validated the theory of Knudsen pumping. Knudsen first observed thermal creep experimentally in 1909 using a radiometer-like apparatus. Modern experiments use precisely fabricated silicon nanochannels with controlled dimensions and surface properties. Typical pressure ratios achieved range from 1.1 to 1.5 for temperature differences of 50 to 100 degrees. The experimental results match kinetic theory predictions remarkably well, validating our understanding. How does Knudsen pumping compare with classical mechanical pumps? Advantages include no moving parts, which means no mechanical wear, and potentially infinite lifetime. Disadvantages include relatively low pressure ratios and the requirement for nanoscale fabrication. Knudsen pumps are best suited for microscale applications, where conventional pumps are impractical. Let me introduce a related phenomenon called transpiration flow, which is closely connected to thermal creep. Transpiration refers to gas flow through porous media, or membranes driven by temperature gradients. The underlying molecular mechanism is the same as Knudsen pumping, thermal creep along pore walls. The transpiration flow rate Q equals negative K times dt by dx, where K is the thermal transpiration coefficient. This effect is exploited in specialized gas separation membranes and thermomolecular filters. Modeling Knudsen pumping accurately requires sophisticated computational methods. The direct simulation Monte Carlo method, or DSMC, is the most accurate approach for transition regime flows. DSMC works by simulating the trajectories and collisions of representative particles. The Boltzmann equation provides the theoretical foundation, relating the distribution function to collision integrals. The Boltzmann equation, partial f by partial t plus versus dot nabla f equals partial f by partial t collision term. Let's discuss some recent advances and future directions in Knudsen pumping research. Researchers have developed multi-stage cascaded Knudsen pumps that achieve higher pressure ratios. Hybrid devices combine Knudsen pumping with other effects, like electrokinetic or thermophoretic forces. There's growing interest in using Knudsen pumps for space exploration, particularly for sample collection on asteroids. Integration with MEMS sensors could create self-powered sensing systems. Let me propose a thought experiment to test your understanding. Question: what happens if we suddenly reverse the temperature gradient, making the hot side cold and vice versa? Answer: the thermal creep flow direction reverses almost immediately, on timescales of microseconds. However, the pressure difference takes much longer to equilibrate, potentially milliseconds or longer depending on reservoir volumes. Let's be honest about the limitations and challenges of Knudsen pumping technology. Fabricating uniform nanochannels at large scale remains technically challenging and expensive. Surface contamination can dramatically reduce performance by changing the accommodation coefficient. Scaling up to achieve larger flow rates requires massive parallelization of channels. The overall energy efficiency, considering heat input and pressure work output, is moderate at best. Knudsen pumping is related to several other interesting phenomena in rarefied gas dynamics. Thermophoresis describes how small particles move in temperature gradients, driven by similar asymmetric molecular collisions. Radiometric forces, as seen in Crookes radiometers, are driven by thermal creep along the vanes. Thermal edge flow creates circulation patterns near heated edges in rarefied gases. These three phenomena are all intimately related through the common mechanism of asymmetric molecular momentum transfer in temperature gradients. For those interested in the mathematical details, let me provide some deeper insight. The shear stress in a rarefied gas includes a thermal stress term, tau xy equals negative mu du by dy minus 3/4 mu dt by dy. The second term is the thermal stress, which has no analog in continuum fluid mechanics. This creates a fundamental coupling between the temperature and velocity fields that doesn't exist in continuum flows. Similarly, the heat flux includes a convective term, Q sub x equals negative kdt by dx plus 1/2 rho UT. Let me walk through a practical design example for a Knudsen pump. Suppose we want to pump air at atmospheric pressure with a 100 Kelvin temperature difference. Pressure is 101,325 pascals, and delta T is 100 Kelvin. The mean free path at 300 Kelvin is approximately 68 nanometers. We choose a channel height around 100 nanometers to achieve a Knudsen number near 0.7. The maximum achievable pressure difference is approximately 1,000 pascals, or about 1% of atmospheric pressure. This requires precise nanofabrication techniques like electron beam lithography or focused ion beam milling. An interesting question: at what point do quantum effects become important in Knudsen pumping? Classical kinetic theory remains valid for channel heights above about 10 nanometers. Below 10 nanometers, quantum confinement effects on the gas molecules themselves become significant. The de Broglie wavelength of the gas molecules becomes comparable to the channel dimensions. The de Broglie wavelength equals h divided by the square root of 2 pi mk sub bt. How do we experimentally measure Knudsen pumping effects? We use sensitive pressure sensors at both reservoirs to measure the pressure difference. Optical interferometry can visualize density gradients in the gas flow. Particle image velocimetry, or PIV, can measure velocity fields if we see the gas with tracer particles. Microscale temperature sensors along the channel walls verify the temperature profile. Surface roughness can significantly affect Knudsen pumping performance. Atomically smooth surfaces promote more specular reflection, which reduces thermal creep. Rough surfaces enhance diffuse reflection, which strengthens thermal creep effects. Optimal roughness for maximum thermal creep is typically around 1 to 5 nanometers root mean square. Surface treatments like coatings or chemical modifications can alter the accommodation coefficient. Let me summarize the key concepts we've covered in this lecture. Knudsen pumping is a remarkable phenomenon where temperature gradients drive gas flow through nanochannels without any moving parts. The underlying mechanism is thermal creep, where molecules at walls gain preferential tangential momentum toward hot regions. The effect is strongest in the transition regime, where Knudsen number is between 0.1 and 10. Applications include microelectromechanical systems, vacuum generation, and microscale propulsion. The physics is governed by kinetic theory at the molecular level, not by continuum mechanics. Let me conclude with some final thoughts and open questions in this field. Can we achieve significantly higher pressure ratios by using novel channel geometries or surface structures? How can we improve the overall energy efficiency of Knudsen pumps to make them competitive with conventional pumps? What role will Knudsen pumps play in the broader nanotechnology revolution? Can we harness Knudsen pumping for waste heat recovery in electronic devices? Knudsen pumping represents a beautiful intersection of thermodynamics, kinetic theory, and nanotechnology. It challenges our intuition, demonstrates the breakdown of continuum assumptions, and opens new possibilities for microscale engineering. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of thermal creep and Knudsen pumping.